Why is he out? Was a taser deployed?
Your Honor, when the
I think that's either yes or no. Was a taser deployed?
Your Honor, as soon as saw him, she pointed the taser at him. He was running and pointed the taser.
I didn't ask that, Ms. Gaines. I did not ask that. Was the taser deployed?
Yes, it was.
Did an officer have to draw their weapon?
I did not see that. I could not see that on the video. Again, Your Honor, he's 20 years old. He has no prior history on an unarmed young man.
I mean, Ms. Gaines, I don't get it.
Brat entered the courtroom today facing some very serious accusations. According to reports, he allegedly attacked 2 police officers, striking them and even twisting the finger of one officer badly enough to cause an injury. But that's not all. He's also facing claims that he assaulted his former girlfriend, adding another troubling layer to this case. The situation paints a concerning picture, raising questions about just how much of a risk he may pose to others. Despite this, his defense attorney appeared highly determined to keep him from serving time behind bars. Her arguments seemed to stretch every angle possible, pushing hard for leniency in a case where the charges speak volumes. Now, the responsibility falls on Judge Simpson, who must weigh the balance between fairness and public safety. How far should the justice system go in giving someone like Brat another opportunity, and at what point does accountability require more decisive action? The big question remains, will the judge extend patience once more, or will jail be the only option to protect the community? Let's take a closer look at how this unfolds.
As to bond.
Your Honor, we are just looking to address the condition of bond that requires that Mr. Hopkins be on house arrest. Prior to this matter, Mr. Hopkins was employed as a result of having the tether police. No longer able to, in this case, he was no longer able to maintain that employment. He is hoping to be able to get new employment, and is asking that the court consider a no go-to order, a no contact order, or anything of that nature. My client, Mr. Hopkins, also recently registered for the cybersecurity program. Text me that information. I tried to send the confirmation to Ms. Barroso so that she would be able to see it. It's my understanding that the classes are majority online, but that would be the only place that he would have to come in Washtenaw County. Otherwise, he's just asking for some order that would allow him to work and just not have that kind of contact.
Response.
Your Honor, the bond in this case was set at $5,000 cash or surety when we requested a $50,000 bond. In this case, the people are uncomfortable with him being out. This was an event, or a series of events that occurred where the defendant assaulted the victim at not one but 2 locations. An eyewitness saw the defendant shove the victim while near the police station. The police attempted to make contact with the defendant, and then he picked up, as a result of him resisting, picked up 5 counts of R&O against 4 different officers. One of those 5 counts is an R&O causing injury that was so severe that the officer is actually seeking specialized medical treatment from an orthopedic surgeon. At this point, this is a 9.
So hold on. There was a DV and then an officer injured. Why is he out?
Your Honor, if I could address.
Hold on. I'll let Ms. Barroso finish and then you can address it. I just had an intermediate question. Go ahead.
So at this point, I don't think that a modification of bond removing him from being on house arrest is appropriate. We objected to a nominal bond of $5,000 when it was originally granted. At this point, I don't think that any further reduction is appropriate.
A couple of things. First of all, Mr. Hopkins is here with his father. He is 20 years old. He has no prior criminal history. In reviewing the police report and the video, even the report references that the altercation, that the incidents that resulted in this charge, that there were
In which
that it was,
charge?
I'll start with the domestic violence. That with those charges, that that there was a more complicated situation. I believe the officer said, the report says something to the effect of, and this would also go to the property, that there had been physical altercations between the two of them, fighting between the two of them, and breaking of objects between the two of them. So I believe that there's more to this than said. The allegations of the domestic violence are the one of the shoving, and also I believe Mr. Hopkins taking his own computer back from the complainant. That's the second allegation of the domestic violence. And the resisting and obstructing is, the allegations are that Mr. Hopkins, not that Mr. Hopkins turned around and slammed someone or punched them or anything, that he pulled away. The allegation is the officer fell and that caused the injury. And then that officer fell, yes, as he pulled away. And then subsequently, 4 officers who were, some of whom just pulled up on the scene in the video, all ran after him. And that's where the resisting and obstructing comes. And he did, in fact, eventually stop. It was not, it's not as if he were in a vehicle and went miles or hours away. He did stop running, and he did, once they complied, once that occurred, there were no further incidents. So,
Your Honor, I'm sorry. That is not the characterization of the R&O. The allegations include him punching 2 officers in the face, breaking free of their grasp, causing them to fall to the ground, twisting and seriously injuring an officer's finger. And then it went on for such a period of time that an officer had to point and deploy a taser. And that another officer had to point their pistol at a defendant. So at the defendant. So at this point, I don't think it was him passively.
Your Honor, I had an opportunity to view the video.
Did we all watch the same testimony? Because listening to the defense attorney's version almost feels like an entirely different event. According to her, Brat struck an officer, ran off, and then calmly cooperated once everything settled down. But the state's account is far more serious. They claim he assaulted not just 1 but 2 officers, injured one by twisting his finger, and that a firearm was drawn during the chaos. That's not a small gap. It's the difference between a minor scuffle and a dangerous confrontation. This raises a real question about credibility. Is the defense simply reshaping the facts to benefit their client, or is there truly a dispute over what happened that night? Of course, a defense attorney's role is to fight for their client, but the version being presented here feels worlds apart from what's written in the official reports. And prosecutors don't typically invent claims out of thin air, especially when supported by documented police statements. To the heart of this, we're left with a troubling picture. Brat is being portrayed as a cooperative figure by one side and as a clear threat by the other. Judge Simpson will need to carefully weigh these conflicting narratives, and ultimately, a jury may decide which story holds more weight. But right now, it's hard to imagine the courtroom buying into a defense that seems so far removed from the documented account. Oh, what do you think? Is the defense pushing too far, or could there be more to this story than we realize? The upcoming jury moments should give us a clearer look.
Well, you had an opportunity to view the video.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Was a taser deployed?
Your Honor, when the
I think that's either yes or no. Was a taser deployed?
Your Honor, as soon as the officer saw him, she pointed the taser at him. This is not, as soon as she saw him, she pointed the taser at him. This is not a situation where he was running and pointed the taser.
I didn't ask that, Ms. Gaines. I did not ask that.
Yes, sir.
Was the taser deployed?
Yes, it was.
Did an officer have to draw their weapon?
I did not see that. I could not see that on the video.
Ms. Burroughs, are you indicating an officer had to draw their weapon?
That is what was indicated to me in the file, Your Honor. Yes.
And then there's an officer that's injured. Again, we'll ask the question. I don't know why this individual's out.
Again, Your Honor, he's 20 years old, he has no prior history, and he has no reason to come back to Washtenaw County other than for school in this case. It's my understanding, I have not heard any information that he has had any contact with the complainant, has violated any orders. He is just asking to be able to go to work and to be able to get a job and go to work. Your Honor, would you want to hear from Mr. Hopkins' father, who's present?
I don't know what he could tell me at this point in time. I'm more worried about the bond as it originally is set. Does he have prior convictions for anything?
No, Your Honor.
That the original domestic was about. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, because I'll just tell you, I have some serious concerns that this escalated to a point that officers are having to deploy a taser, pull their weapon, and there are clearly enough officers around to, in my opinion, have subdued this individual without having to do all of that. So something else is going on. And
Your Honor,
I also have, I mean, one's bad enough, but I have 2 counts of domestic violence.
again, Your Honor, one of them is him taking back his own computer. That's one of the allegations. And that's why I'm saying there were things that were happening before this. That's not to excuse his behavior. That is to say that there's broader context. And in my view of the video, initially there was 1 officer, then there were 2, and he ran from 2, but as he's running from those 2, there are cars, 4 and 5 cars are pulling up with sirens on an unarmed young man who is clearly panicked. This is not someone who's had police involvement, who has a history of contact with law enforcement and the criminal justice system. Again, I'm not excusing, but I do think that there's more. I think there are more nuances to this than the prosecutor does.
Well, explain some of those then. Because I've got a victim of a DV that's injured.
She is not the domestic violence person is not injured. It was the shove and the taking of there's no injury to her.
Yeah. Domestic violence are 2 misdemeanor counts.
That is
felonies
correct.
Here are 5 counts of are 5 counts.
Yeah, I see that.
Are no causing it.
Maybe I misread that on the report, but
Yes.
the injury to the finger that's the officer.
That's correct.
Thank you. I don't understand this. I mean, there's a lot I don't understand. How, and I get there are resisting and obstructings that are filed that some may look at as questionable in terms of the charge. I get that. But I'm also trying to figure out how an officer gets injured, that there are punches to the face of officers. I mean, Ms. Gaines, I don't get it.
I understand what you're saying, and I'm saying I did not see any punches to the face when I observed the video.
Something about this defense just isn't adding up. The attorney's approach feels less like presenting facts and more like trying to manage the damage. Her tone and arguments seem focused on reshaping Brat's image into that of a victim, even though the allegations show a very different story. According to the reports, he didn't just have a misunderstanding. He's accused of attacking 2 police officers and then attempting to flee the scene. The contrast between the defense's account and the state's version is striking. The prosecution's description isn't simply unfavorable. It paints a genuinely alarming picture. 2 officers were allegedly struck, 1 was injured, and the situation escalated to the point where serious safety measures had to be taken. If we step back for a moment and imagine this happening to civilians instead of trained officers, the potential outcome could have been even worse. That thought alone underscores why this case carries such weight. For many watching, the concern is straightforward. If someone shows this kind of disregard for authority and public safety, should they really be trusted back into the community without accountability? To some, it's less about being overly critical and more about protecting people from further harm. While the defense works hard to create doubt, the reality of the accusations makes it difficult to overlook the risks. Where do you stand on this? Is the defense simply doing its job within the system, or is it stretching the truth beyond reason? From the reaction so far, public opinion seems heavily tilted toward the prosecution side, but the ultimate decision will rest with the court.
Tell you what, I'm certainly not changing any conditions. Can you explain to me one reason why I shouldn't raise his bond?
Your Honor, he has appeared for every court date, and he has not picked up any new charges. He has not had any contact with the complainant on the domestic violence or any of the officers. My understanding from him is that he has only come to Washtenaw County for court. He does not even reside in this county. It does not appear he's a flight risk, nor that he is a danger to the community. He is here with his father. He has come to every court date, and he's highly responsive to my calls and texts. And absent the no offer in this matter, we'd be looking to resolve it.
Anything else from the people?
No, Your Honor.
You know what? I'm not changing his condition in the bond. I'm not at this juncture going to up his bond either, although of rights I should. Of rights, I don't think he should be out around tethered or not, given that behavior. But I'll let Judge Perry deal with that after she hears the preliminary examination. Bond will continue. Motion for bond reduction or changing condition is denied.
Thank you, Your Honor.
At just 20 years old, Brat is already facing serious accusations, domestic violence, followed by allegedly assaulting 2 police officers. That's not something you can easily chalk up to youthful mistakes. Yet the defense attorney leaned heavily on the idea that he's just a kid, which frankly felt unconvincing in the face of such troubling charges. Age doesn't erase responsibility, and first offenses don't automatically earn free passes when real harm is involved. What made the courtroom exchange even harder to follow was the defense's reasoning. At one point, the attorney suggested that Brat needed to remain free so he could keep working, only for it to be revealed that he doesn't even have a job. When the strongest defense comes across as inconsistent, it only raises more doubts about credibility. Rather than strengthening the case for leniency, those arguments seem to highlight just how thin the defense strategy really was. T also raises deeper questions about accountability and responsibility. Violence against law enforcement officers is one of those clear boundaries that courts rarely overlook. Trying to downplay such actions risks sending the wrong message about how seriously the justice system takes public safety. In this instance, it almost felt like the attorney's own standing in the courtroom suffered as much, if not more, than her client's reputation. Now the larger issue remains: how should the court respond? Should Brat be given another chance in the community, or should time behind bars be the consequence that sends a stronger message about accountability? These are the questions Judge Simpson, and eventually the public, will be weighing. And that's where I'll leave it with you. What do you think would be a fair outcome for this case?